All right, welcome to the Career Catapult podcast. And this week, we're going to do a bit of an Ask Stella episode. I get lots of questions every single week, and I got one that I've gotten so many times. And I thought, you know what? It's high time I address this publicly. I address it often in our programs, but I want to address it publicly because I know that this will be of immense value to every single one of you listening today. Okay. We're titling this episode, No One is Coming with a Better Offer. Okay. No one is coming with a better offer. Here is the question that I often get in so many words. Stella, I have an offer for a lateral role with slightly higher or slightly better compensation. Should I take it or should I wait for the skip level opportunity to show up? So this is somebody who's currently a director, wants to be a VP, has been working towards getting a VP level role, but has now gotten an opportunity to take a director level role, lateral role with maybe 10% increase in compensation. And they're wondering whether they should take the role. Okay. So to address this question, I'm going to use an age-old analogy, an age-old saying that we all know and have heard, I'm sure, many, many times. And that is the following: a bird in hand is worth two in the bush. Have you heard that one, right? A bird in hand is worth two in the bush. What this person is really asking is this. They're not asking what you think they're asking. What the question really is, Stella, what if there's nothing in the bush? Okay. I've got this bird in hand right now, but what if, just what if there is nothing in the bush? Okay. Isn't this a huge gamble? If I were to not take this lateral opportunity and wait for a skip level one, wouldn't that be a huge gamble? Should I really give up this bird in hand in the hopes that there's several more, at least two more in the bush, right? That's really the thinking. That's the question. It's more of a risk assessment question. And that's what they're asking. So what I want to do in the rest of this episode and for the bulk of our conversation today is break down this analogy about the birds and use it to answer the question about what to do. So if you've ever found yourself in that position, I've got an opportunity. It's not quite the one I want. It's not quite the right one. It's not what I've been writing down in terms of the role I want, the industry or the level or any of those things or compensation, but I've got something. Should I just take it? And usually what will happen, because we're smart, we're really smart. And so what we'll do is we'll find clever ways to talk ourselves into it. Well, I'm just going to start with this right now, and then I'll work my way up. I'm just going to take this role right now, and then in 18 or 24 months, I'll leave and I'll go somewhere else. There are all these things we tell ourselves. I'll do this right now until the kids get older, and then I'll look for something else. I'll do this right now until the kids are in high school. There are all these clever things we say. And I'm going to just say, spoiler alert, and everyone, like, we like to think that we have, that our outcomes will be different or better than the average person's, and maybe they will be. But after talking to thousands of people across every conceivable industry over the last 10 years as a coach in business, most people don't. Most people take the lateral or take the one that they didn't really want, and they stay there for much longer than they ever thought they would. Because life doesn't happen that way. Life isn't linear in that way. The moment they take that role thinking, I'm going to wait for a better time or I'm going to work my way up, they don't, for all kinds of reasons. There are all kinds of reasons why. We can get into that another day. But the outcome, the bottom line is most people who take the role, who take the opportunity that is suboptimal, subpar for whatever reason, and tell themselves they're going to land the next thing or they're going to work up to the next thing, usually do not. Okay. But let's break down this bird analogy so that you can see just how to make the right decision here. Okay. Because it could be that we don't know what the right decision is. Let's work through that together. Let's see if we can come to that conclusion to see what makes sense for you. Okay. So there are a few points I have here. Number one, yes, there are more birds in bush than in hand. Right? That analogy concludes it. If it's saying that there's a bird in hand is worth two in the bush, that there's the assumption that there are two in the bush. And that assumption is correct. There are always going to be more in the bush than you can hold in your hand. So if you're telling yourself things like, there are no roles, there's a shortage of skip level roles, and no one's hiring VPs, no one's hiring C-suite leaders, you are wrong, flat out wrong. Just because you haven't had those outcomes doesn't mean that those roles aren't there. Every single day, new companies are being formed. Every single day, companies are getting funded. Every single day, companies are moving from one series to the next. Every single day, companies are going to IPO. Every single day, companies are hiring executives to drive their business forward. That is a foregone conclusion. That is happening across every industry, okay, across the different geographies in the entire world. People are hiring executives of all companies, of all shapes and sizes, of all statures, are hiring at the level that you are seeking. So if you found yourself saying the opposite, oh, there are no jobs, oh, there's a shortage, oh, no one's hiring, all of that is untrue, categorically untrue. Okay, that's point number one. The lateral role that you have managed to secure at this point is not the only thing that exists. It's just what you currently have. It's the bird in hand. It's the bird in hand. But it's not the only bird there is, right? It's not the only thing that exists, because while you landed that director level lateral, somebody else landed a VP role at the same time. So clearly there was a VP role to be had, right? So I know it goes without saying and it sounds obvious, but sometimes when we're in it, sometimes when we're not having the outcome that we want or things are taking longer than we hoped, these are the kinds of things that we start to say. No one's hiring, the jobs aren't out there, right? There's a shortage. This industry is no longer hiring. This level is being flattened out of the organization, all of that stuff. And it's categorically false. My second point, just because there are birds in the bush does not mean they are automatically yours. Just because there are, in fact, at least two more birds in the bush does not mean that they are automatically yours. Okay? You're not entitled to them. You're capable. It is possible for you to have them, but you're not entitled to them. Okay? It's not a foregone conclusion. It's not inevitable, not even close. Not even close. Just because they exist and they can be had does not mean that you have your name on them. Okay, but don't conflate the two. And I want you to follow this journey. First, we establish that the jobs do exist just like the birds do exist. But whether or not they are yours is a whole other story. They can be. It is possible. There's nothing that is that precludes you or says you are the kind of person who cannot be vice president. You are the kind of person who cannot be a C-suite leader. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. Thankfully, in 2026, there's no such thing. There's nothing that stands in the way of you having it in that way, right? It is absolutely possible, but it's not inevitable. It's not a foregone conclusion. It's not guaranteed. Okay, that's point number two. Let's go to point number three. And this is my main point. Okay, if you want them, you must become a better hunter. If you want the two birds, maybe you have one kind of bird that looks a certain way, but there's a bigger, fatter, juicier, meatier, more nutritious bird that you're hoping for. And these are the limits of my understanding of the bird analogy, because I'm not a hunter, although I'm very interested in the subject. But you know, if you want more, you have to become a better hunter. If you want, you know, the offer, if you want the skip level role, you have to become a better hunter. You have to become better at landing that role. Okay. If you're standing there, hand out, hoping a bird will land in your hand, that's just wishful thinking. But I know most of you aren't doing that. So that goes without saying. I know that you're not just standing there hoping for a bird to land in your hand. You're not doing that. Okay. But here's the even more subtle part. If you are working really hard, burning the midnight oil, working your full-time job, 9 to 5, 9 to 6, 9 to 8, and then turning around and working on trying to land the job, applying to a bunch of roles, networking, doing all the stuff. But if you're doing all of that and your strategy is inefficient or ineffective for what you're looking to do, you won't see the result, and all you'll have is the burnout. I hear people say this all the time, and it really does break my heart. Stella, I've been looking for this role for 9 months. I've been working so hard I've gone on interview after interview, networking chat after networking chat, application after application, thousands of applications. I'm just burnt out and I'm going to take a break. I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to stop and do nothing, right? But nowhere in that whole process have they stopped to ask themselves, was my strategy for doing this the right one? There's nothing more heartbreaking. There's nothing worse than having somebody put their life energy, put their determination and their drive and their focus into making something happen, but it was all the wrong strategy. They were doing the wrong thing, right? They were doing the wrong thing. It's like you're trying to go, let's say I'm in Dallas right now. I'm trying to go to Houston, right? And I have to be there at a certain time. And I got up early in the morning to go there. I put on my best clothes. I filled up my gas tank, all the things, right? But instead of punching in Houston, I punched in Arizona. And I drove fast and hard, okay? Focused on the road. But it was the wrong direction. I'm not going to get there. The same is true here. Many of you are working very hard. You're putting in applications. You are staying up late, but you're not seeing the results. And the question you have to ask is, am I even using the right strategy? Am I using the right strategies to get what I want? Do I even know what those are for what I'm seeking? Am I using the strategies that I used in the past? Because that worked in the past, right? In the past, all I had to do was apply to a bunch of jobs and somebody was going to call me back. In the past, all I had to do was network with the few people I already knew and somebody had a job for me. Some of you said that to me before. So I've actually never really interviewed. Every job I've ever had with it has been, maybe you've been at the company 20 years and in those 20 years, you've just kind of gotten pulled up, things just opened up. Somebody quit, somebody left, somebody retired, and boom, the job opens up and it's yours. You've reached the limits of that. You have reached the limits of that. And so if that's been your strategy, consider for a moment it is now highly ineffective for the role that you want, the level that you want, and the timing of the market that we are in. Right? So if you have the wrong strategy, you will burn out and you'll still come up empty. And this is where, for many of you, this is where you are stuck. It's not that you're standing there with your hand out, okay? It is that you are not using the right strategy for the outcomes that you are seeking, okay? So now that we've established that, what would a better hunter do, right? A better bird hunter who wants to catch the two in the bush, right? The best birds, what would that person do to make that happen? There are really three things. There are three simple things that this hunter would do that apply to you as well. Number one, improve positioning. They would improve their position. An amateur hunter would just wander the bush and just hope they find something. Hope they find the bird. Hope they find a better bird than the one that they had in hand. That's what an amateur would do. But a skilled hunter would go, they would know where the best birds are and they would go there. And so for you, the way that this applies is you cannot land a VP level role by fielding thousands of applications. Maybe eventually, right? Even a broken clock is right twice a day, they say. Like maybe eventually you'll land something, but the amount of time that it'll take you, compare that with the amount of what you already have going on in your life, the demands of your life, the energy demands of your life, the time demands of your life. You don't have the bandwidth to sit there and play this game of odds and fill out thousands and thousands of applications on LinkedIn, hoping that one will pan out. There's a better use of your time. There's a better strategy. There's a better use of your energy. There's a more direct path. Okay, so improving your positioning, improving where you are, aligning yourself to the right people and the right opportunities, going where those are is a strategy that you want to do. And this will look different, right? I'm giving you something that will apply to you no matter your level. Inside our programs, this is where we start to calibrate things, but this will apply whether you're looking for a director level role or a C-suite role. Okay, so filling out the LinkedIn application, putting the open to work sign. That's the other thing. People ask me all the time, what do you think about that? I don't like it. Okay, not for executives. I don't like it. So filling out the applications, putting the open to work sign and relying on that is not how you improve your positioning. Okay, you have to align yourself to where the opportunities are and who the right people are. And if your strategy does not ask how to do that better than you did that before, If you were a director before, or maybe you're currently a director and you want to be VP, or your VP currently wanting to be C-suite leader, if you don't ask, well, here's how I did it before, but what would be the better, what would be the up-leveled way of doing this, of positioning myself? If you're not asking that, you haven't even started. You're running out the clock. You haven't started, okay? Number two, in terms of what a skilled hunter would do to catch the best birds, and for you to land the role, is to improve precision. Improve precision. A bad hunter would just take random shots and hope that they hit something, right? Hope that they catch something, right? In the similar vein, you don't just say, I'm looking for a VP level role without really understanding precisely what is the job. This is still, candidly, if I can be candid with you, this is one of the biggest surprises I have as I talk to many people who are desiring a promotion or something like that, is that the level of understanding of what they seek is quite low. Right? Lots of people want something. They want a VP level role, but they don't know what the job is. They don't know what problems this person solves. They don't know what the KPIs are or what is required, what the behavior patterns are of this person. The more precisely you understand that, the better your signal can be. And don't beat yourself up if you don't have that precision. This is part of what we do inside the programs that we run, right? But one thing you can do to get yourself ahead of the curve, one thing you can do to prepare yourself even more, is to dial that in. Because for one, how do you even know you want the job if you don't know what it looks like? At that point, all you really know is, I want the money, maybe the title and the prestige. Nothing wrong with that. Who doesn't want more money? But you're not going to get the money if you can't dial in, what is the job? What is a VP? VP of what? Precisely what is this person responsible for? And I think I did a podcast episode a few weeks ago about this, about all the different things you want to consider to make sure that you fully understand the role, right? But if you don't understand the role, you can't be precise. If you can't be precise, then you're spraying and hoping. And I'm not even, I mean, there's so much to say here, and there's so much depth that we can cover, and it's hard to do it justice in a 20-minute episode, right? But this is again, what we do inside our programs is help you get even more precise, not just to the level, but even to the industry and even to the company that you're seeking, the companies that you're discussing with, right? So number one was improve positioning, but number two is improve precision. And then finally, number three, improve execution. Improve execution, because yes, the hunter can have the right tools, okay? They can pick the right spots. They can have on the right decoys and the right camouflage and the right calls to get the right bird. They can do all that. But if they cannot at that moment execute when that bird is in sight, if they cannot pull the trigger and execute, none of that will matter. None of that will matter. In the same vein, you can have the right tools. You can be in the right place. You can even know the right people. They can be in your orbit. But if for one reason or the other, and the reasons abound, this is again what I do, this is why I exist. The reasons abound, the reasons that stop someone who already has these things from pulling the trigger and doing it consistently week after week. Those reasons abound. But nonetheless, if you are unable to deliver, if you're unable to execute, if you're unable to pull the trigger and do it consistently, not just when you feel like it, right? Then you will catch nothing. You will catch nothing. And it won't be because of the tools. And part of the work that needs to happen, again, this is part of the work I do with our clients, but if you're not one of our clients and you got to be doing this for yourself or with somebody else, you've got to figure out why. Why am I not executing? Why am I not pulling the trigger? What is standing in the way of that? Solve for it, root out the causes, and then become an executing machine, right? You have to execute. It's the only thing that matters. So that's what a skilled hunter would do. The moment they decide, I want to catch a different kind of bird. I want to catch the bird in hand. Okay, that's all well and good, but I know there's more. I know I'm ready for more. Now I have to calibrate myself for more. This is what they would do. And in the same vein, these are the exact same strategies that will help you get to where you want to be. Okay. So like I said earlier, no one is coming to hand you a skip level offer. No one is coming to hand you two birds at random. No, there's work to be done. There's work for you to do to get it. There's work for you to do to get it. And if you're not willing to become a better hunter, if you're not willing to improve your positioning, if you're not willing to improve your precision, if you're not willing to improve your execution, then the answer is pretty obvious. The answer to that initial question is pretty obvious. Take the lateral. Take the lateral. That's how you know. Because no one's going to hand you a skip level role just because it exists. So if you are unwilling to do what it takes to get it, take what you got. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that would in fact be the right decision. No judgment, no shame. You assess your level of interest, your willingness, your capability to do the work to have the outcomes. And if you determine, no, I am not prepared, I'm not ready, I'm not willing to do what it takes to improve those areas, I'm not ready to make the investments of time, resources, energy to make this happen, take the lateral. Hopefully that gives you a very simple, clear framework for making these decisions. So you'll never have to guess and you'll never have to beat yourself up and feel bad about your decisions, because now they will be rooted and grounded in the right framework. Now, of course, if you know that you are ready to do the work, to have the outcomes that you want to join the hundreds of leaders that we have taken from their current role to their skip level promotion, then the first step is to apply to our program by visiting cycprogram.com. cycprogram.com is the link. Fill out the application. Let's get in conversation and let's get you on the path to landing your skip level promotion. Thanks for listening. I hope that this was insightful. We'll see you soon.